All right, an absolutely embarrassing loss to Ole Miss. We give you the instant overreaction. Locked on Gamecocks starts right now.
You are Locked On Gamecocks, your daily podcast on the South Carolina Gamecocks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, guys? Welcome into Locked On Gamecocks. I'm your host, Chris Marler. I hope everyone's having as good a Sunday as you could have. After yesterday, just an absolutely embarrassing kick in the blank loss, 27-3 to Ole Miss. This is the instant overreaction episode. We do it after every game. It's not gonna be pretty. I'm going to tell you all the things that I just my takeaways from the game, and it's not good. It's not good. It's time to criticize some folks, and we'll get into all that here shortly. First and foremost, I want to say thank you to everyone that's making Locked On Gamecocks your first listen each and every day. Shout out to our everydayers. Remember, we are a free and available podcast wherever you get your podcasts, as well as on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Now, today's episode is brought to you by our friends at the Game Time app. You guys have heard me talk about them before. They are fantastic. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONCollege for all one word, $80 off your first purchase. Now, let's get into the show. Where do you start? We came into this game thinking you had a week off, thinking that you had a point to prove, and thinking that, you know what, like this is a situation where South Carolina can go out there and show that LSU game wasn't a fluke. You got a wounded Ole Miss team coming in off a loss to Kentucky, a team that you beat by 25. Kentucky seemingly kind of gave you the blueprint on how to beat them, and you just peed down your leg like from jump. Just an inexcusable, embarrassing loss at home to Ole Miss, and it pissed me off. Like I'm not gonna mince a ton of words today, and I think my prediction of it was like 31-30. I just thought coming off the bye, I thought getting healthy, that you would have a game plan in place. You would learn from the mistakes. You saw them put some things together against Akron. Granted, it was Akron, but like you after that Old Dominion game, you dominated Kentucky, and then you had the LSU game where it's like, man, you squandered away a 14-point win or 17-point lead or whatever. The refs kind of screwed you over and all that kind of stuff. You could easily be 4-0. Use that as fuel. It's like you had a bye week, and you come in against Ole Miss and you lose 27-3. I don't see a ton of things that make me super happy when I look at this game yesterday. I'm not trying to be negative, but I'm trying to give you guys a reaction that's honest and in my opinion factual and of what happened. It was a beatdown. And here's what pissed me off more than anything is this. Ole Miss came in. I told you all the numbers. Ole Miss came in. They had struggled on the road a year ago. I told you the numbers with Shane Beamer coming off a bye week. I told you the numbers from Ole Miss coming off a loss. It's like 7-5, I think, under Kiffin off a loss, and most of those were against, like, I think half of them were against like Vandy, Louisiana Monroe, and then like Liberty. Like they aren't a team that usually stops themselves from hitting rock bottom. Like for such, there's been multiple multi-loss streaks that they've had under Kiffin. Haven't had back-to-back 10-win seasons forever. You came in and made them look like world beaters. And then listen. Excuse me. There's some stuff that Ole Miss did in this game that is also we're going to get into, like the fake injuries and all that kind of crap. That was absolute BS. But this is the issue I have with what happened yesterday. I saw a lot of the outrage from fans, and a lot of it was about the coordinators, and I think part of that's fair. I don't think Clayton White coached that bad of a game. Dowell Loggins, it is the most inconsistent, clunky play calling and offense I've seen in a while. And they asked Beamer about it in the postgame, and he brought up, he's like, the offensive game plan was that we know who we are and our identity is we're going to run the football. We know what we do well. We're going to try to get to the perimeters. We're going to run basically, I think he said the triple option, but it was like something like RPOs or whatever. And then we take some downfield shots. That's not an inaccurate statement. That is what South Carolina is. But dude, you had remember one of the things I kept saying was I was like, I feel like at the very least you're going to learn your lesson of going into this game against whoever against Ole Miss. Remember LSU, you lose Sellers in the second half and you only throw 4 pass attempts. So just run the offense. Run the offense the way you ran it before. We get to the second quarter of this game and Sellers through like 12 or 13 minutes had attempted 1 pass. What are we doing? And I tell you what, it doesn't start there. Where it starts is Shane Beamer, and you have to criticize and critique and acknowledge the shortcomings of what he did on Saturday. I think Shane Beamer is a good coach. I want him to succeed at this program more than anything. But until you start taking this seriously, in my opinion, it's not going to get better. You're not going to go beat Ole Miss. You're not going to go beat a top 12 team like that. Like with the game plan that you put in place and the coordinators that you allowed to put in place. Listen, going into this game, let's have a realistic and honest look at what we had going into this game. Did you have a better offense than Ole Miss? No. Did you have a better defense than Ole Miss? Probably not. Did you have a more talented roster than Ole Miss? No. Not even close. Right? Did you finish higher ranked recruiting? I don't think they did. Either way, but the first 3, right? You don't have a better offense. You don't have a better defense. You don't have a better roster. You don't have a better quarterback. Might be the biggest discrepancy between quarterback talent you have on the whole season. Like that's not even a shot at Sellers. Jackson Dart's just that good. You also have a running back that's clearly banged up because he didn't start. Love Rocket Sanders to death. We got to get north and south, man. Got to get north and south. That's where you thrive. But the one thing that you did have as an advantage was the home field and Williams-Brice and the crowd. And Shane Beamer took them out of that within the first 10 minutes. What are you doing? What are we doing? You get a stop on first down. I'm pulling out the notes, and now I'm going to get fired up. Like, you get a stop on first down. I told you before this game. I would bet anything that they target Juice Wells on the first play of the game. I guarantee you that they will do too much with Juice Wells, especially in the early part of the game, because Kiffin is that immature and that petty. First target of the game goes to someone that wasn't Juice Wells, but there's an offensive penalty, so it comes back. So it's wiped off the board. They targeted Juice Wells on the next 3 pass plays in the first series. Next 3 pass plays in a row, they targeted Juice Wells. 0 catches, 3rd and 18, I think it was, or maybe he had 1 catch, I don't know. But like either way, 3rd and long, you stop them, they got a punt. You get the ball. You do like a little tight end dump off. I loved it. I thought it was a great little first, hey, get yourself 4 to 5 yards. That's fantastic. Now you're in 2nd and 6. Run the ball for I think it was 1 yard. So it's 3rd and 5. You run a zone, off tackle, and you're 1 yard short. And now you're at somewhat midfield, but it's 3rd and 5, you get a 4 yard gain. No, hold on, this is wrong. 3rd and 5, 3rd and 6, whatever, you get a 4 or 5 yard gain. So it's 4th and 1. Beamer keeps the offense on the field for a minute, then takes him off, runs the punt team on, and you should punt here. Do you know why? Because you punt him deep. You've already stopped him once, okay? Punt them deep. We don't know if you convert on your own side of the field. Even if you convert, you don't know if you're going to go down there and score. It's a good defense. Buddy, field position is key in games like this. And you know what else is key? Keeping the effing fans into the game. So you run the punt team back on, then you line up in a bunch formation with your offensive line. The splits were noticeably different and close together for the offense, basically the offensive line for the punt team. And if you notice, I noticed it from TV, so I'm sure that someone else noticed it on the coaching staff. Hey, by the way, Ole Miss is in punt safe, and they had their starting defensive line, which is, by the way, one of the most talented defensive lines in the country, they had their starting defensive line still in the game. They think you're going to fake this punt, Shane. They think you're going to fake it. It's pretty obvious they're going to fake it. Also, I think you're going to fake it because the offensive line and the splits, they're shoulder to shoulder. There's no distance between them like on every other punt we've ever seen. And you run the up back directly into the teeth of it. And Beamer admitted this was a mistake and he beat himself up over it and all that kind of stuff. And that's great. I'm glad that he acknowledged it. You took the one advantage you had, that was a clear-cut advantage in this game, you took away in the first 5 minutes, first 10 minutes. Just dumb as hell. Flat out. You had a week off, and you come into this game. And within 5 minutes, you start overthinking it. And what does Ole Miss do? After you already stopped them deep in their own territory, right? You give them a short field. They go right down, score, and they're up 7-0. Now, let's keep in mind, here's the other thing, too. This is a big deal to not get behind early to Ole Miss. Ole Miss was going into this game. They were outscoring their opponents they were like plus 93 in the first quarter. Plus 93. They were outscoring opponents 99-6 in the first quarter. Pretty big deal to not get behind early to a team like that, right? You're down 7-0. What do you do in the next series? You bring in Robbie Ashford to run a zone read. Now, listen, Robbie Ashford is in his third year of SEC football and absolutely should know how to run that and not have any sort of issues at the mesh point where you are going to fumble that ball. And he did. But again, why are we doing it? Why are we getting that cute with it that early? Do it on the other end of the field when you already have them on their heels. It cannot be this difficult. I'm not going to pretend to know more about football than Shane Beamer. I am going to pretend to know more about common sense than this coaching staff did on Saturday, because I think that's fair. If you're going to get gutsy, why are you doing it in the shadows of your own end zone? Explain it to me. What's the quote from The Office? Explain it to me like I'm 5 years old. If you are going to get gutsy early in the game, not late when you need to make a move and you've been struggling on offense and you can't move the chains and blah, 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 and you got to have something going to get some momentum and switch things up. Not then. Early. You went in desperation mode early. Why? It's just so stupid. We have a lot more to get to in this game. We will talk more about it. I'm still fired up, obviously. What are you going to do? But make sure you stick around. We have plenty more to get to. Before we do, I do want to tell you about our friends at LinkedIn. You guys have heard me talk about LinkedIn before. And I don't know, I'm recording this on Sunday. Nobody wants to think about work on a Sunday. But listen, LinkedIn is a phenomenal tool if you are hiring with your small business. You want to find quality professionals if you are that are right for the right role. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs has the tools to find the right professionals for your team, okay? It's not just a job board. LinkedIn is not just a job board. They help you hire professionals you can't find anywhere else. Even those who aren't actively searching for a job might be open to the perfect role. In a given month, over 70% of LinkedIn users don't visit other leading job sites. So if you're not looking on LinkedIn, you're looking in the wrong place. On LinkedIn, 86% of small businesses get a qualified candidate within 24 hours. Hire professionals like a professional on LinkedIn. Now, listen, make sure you can post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That's linkedin.com/lockedoncollege to post your job for free. Terms and conditions do apply. All right. Make sure you stick around. We will continue up next with the instant overreaction of the Ole Miss loss. Locked On Gamecocks continues next. All right, let's get back into it and the things that went awry in this game. And again, listen, this is just an honesty hour, man. This is an instant overreaction. We're going to talk about it and things that went well, things that did not go well. All right, so here's the deal. You go down 7-0, then you're down 14-0 because of the fumble. And that happens within the first 10 minutes of the game. So you're down 14-0, and now you are in a situation where it's like you have to claw back, and now you have to claw back against a team that is able to score a lot of points and put up a lot of yards. And this is not where you thrive. Like, this is not where South Carolina is going to be good, right? I'm not saying they have to be front runners and get ahead early. I do think that it helps, right? But I'm not saying they can't come from behind in games or whatever. But especially when you have a defense that can sometimes be a little bit of a bend but don't break, this is not where you want to live. And now you are, it's 14-0. And here's the thing. These aren't Lenora Sellers mistakes. These aren't like the stuff that killed you against LSU. These aren't Lenora Sellers mistakes where it's like, oh, he didn't see this person coming and he fumbled on third down or he held on to the ball too long or whatever, like your young quarterback. These are coaching mistakes. This is your head coach and your offensive coordinator doing too much against a team that like you, again, the one advantage you had, you threw away in the first 10 minutes of the game. And then it just went downhill. This is, I'm just going through my notes. And I'll be honest, I stopped taking them after halftime. Down 14-0 in the first quarter, or first quarter, first half. 3rd and 5. 3rd and 5, down 14-0. You get a 4-yard gain on a pass. Run the route to the first down marker. What are we doing? This is just situational crap. That's like you just. For those of you just listening to the audio, I'm just beating my temples with my fingers. Like between the ears, guys, between the ears. Run the route to the first down marker. Down 14-0. You get an 18-yard reception on 1st and 10. You get an OPI away from the play. South Carolina was flagged for 3 OPIs in this game, offensive pass interference. One of them was negated because of a holding in the secondary or something or something. So it was just like they had to replay the down. I think it was that one actually. The 3 offensive pass interference play. And listen, and let's be clear. Maybe the Nick Harbor one was fine. The other one, I forgot who it was on. I think it was Mazio. Like, was bulk. It was BS. I'll say that. Another part of it, you early in the first half, you're driving 4th and 3. You take a sack. Can't happen. It's also here's something I cannot figure out with Dowell Loggins. 3rd and 6, we're running zone reads off left tackle behind a freshman offensive lineman. 4th and 3, we're dropping back to pass. I mean, maybe it's clunky. The whole thing is so clunky and disjointed, and they don't do a good job of just being consistent. And like when Beamer made the comment after the game, he was like, "Yeah, like we have, we know who we are. We know our identity." I don't know if you do. Like, because otherwise, listen, you have to build this thing around the talent you have in place. But like the play calling doesn't reflect that always. Sometimes it does, but it not consistently. It's like Dowell Loggins can string together a good drive like every 3 to 4, probably every 4 series. But outside of that, then it's like sometimes it looks lost. It doesn't look like they take advantage of the right things in the right moments. And then like the play calling, I hate to be that guy questioning the play calling, but I'm going to question the play calling because it's like, it's clearly not working. Listen, Brock Vandagriff put up 246 yards on this defense a week ago. You're out of this game in the first 10 minutes. I told you Kiffin would do what he always does, which is like get too arrogant and not have any respect for his opponent. He goes for it on fourth down on his own side of the field when he could have punted him deep and then switched field position. Sound familiar? Because Beamer did it earlier, but it wasn't for the same reasons, I don't think. Here you go. 3rd and 5 with 5 minutes left in the second quarter. You get an 11-yard gain. OPI. That was the Nick Harbor one. 3rd and 6, and this is when I quit. This is when I quit writing down things and emotionally investing into the game. And I don't care how that sounds, because I mean, it's an exaggeration, because I kept watching. It just was like, I can't pretend that we're going to come back at this point. But you're down 17-3 in the first half. You're showing some signs of life on offense. You're moving the ball at times. It doesn't look good. It doesn't look consistent. And it doesn't look super effortless. But you are finding times you're moving the ball. This is the evidence of a poorly coached team when you look at what happened right around the 2 minutes timeout. Now, if you watch NFL especially, that's one of the biggest things that they talk about in the NFL and a lot of other good teams in college football as well, which is the 2-minute drill, or the 2 minutes at the end of the first half and the 2 minutes coming out of the second half, especially if you've deferred and you're getting the ball. Two of the biggest moments, four of the biggest moments, four of the biggest minutes in the game. The Patriots built their entire dynasty off this, right? Now you're down 17-3. If you can figure out a way to score, I kept saying at halftime, like, you got to keep it a one-score game. At the very least, you got to get within striking distance, right? Because you do get the ball coming out of the half, and you got the hope you're going to go make halftime adjustments, okay? It's 17-3. You get a weird play in the end zone. You have the OPI thing. Then you have another play on the very next play where I think they got I think it was like a run, because Sellers trying to evade the rush. You get a flag for a warning on a sideline warning, which then stops the clock. It doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things, but because of where you are on the field, but it stops the clock. So now Ole Miss doesn't have to waste time out, and they get the 2-minute thing. So it's 3rd and 11. The epitome of this game. After dropping 2 passes early in the game, Jared Brown gets hit on a crossing route, and he is wide open. All he has to do is turn the ball upfield. I think it's Jared Brown. Turn it upfield, and he will walk to a first down. Because all we're trying to do at this point is get to the locker room. He trips over his own feet, thinks he's going to recover for a second, doesn't. Ole Miss, up 17-3, now wants the ball. And because now you are going to have a short field again, and now you can go score again. And now you can put them away and put your foot on someone's throat, like South Carolina tends not to do. Kiffin smells blood, and he is going to go for the throat. So South Carolina punts. Ole Miss gets the ball, and South Carolina's defense, to their credit, gets 2 stops on the first 2 downs. It's 3rd and 6. It's 3rd and 6. And one of the most lazy, disinterested defensive plays I have seen in a long time happens. And they find a kid wide open, 8 yards away from everybody behind the defense on the far sideline. Then they just Ole a tackle, and he gets all the way down to the 1-yard line. A couple plays later, Ole Miss scores. It's 24-3. And if the game wasn't over before, because it was technically over and they scored with 10:36 left in the first quarter, the game's over now. It's just dumb. It's just bad football is what it is. It's bad football. I don't know. I don't know what to say to it. like I said, this is an instant overreaction. You're going to get my visceral and honest reaction to it. I was hoping we would have a more fun reaction, like a win. Excuse me. I was hoping that, or I was hoping, I don't care how this sounds. Part of me was hoping for at least that, or at the very least, a situation where it's like, the LSU game sucked. That LSU game didn't feel like as bad of a loss because it was like, it felt like it got taken away. You got your ass kicked in this one. Like, that's just bottom line what happened. So it just sucks. I mean, you were held to 313 total yards, all that kind of stuff. We don't need to get into that. We probably don't have to get into the things. You lost the turnover battle, which I said every time they have lost turnover battles to an SEC team, they have lost in the Shane Beamer era. I don't think there's a game that they have won when they've lost the turnover battle. I'll have to do another deep dive on that. I'm pretty sure I looked it up 2 days ago and it was that. But here's the deal. Let's regroup, rally. You're going to Tuscaloosa this week, which, newsflash, Bama's beatable too, y'all. They got beat by Vanderbilt. They got beat by Diego Pavia. And if we're, I'm going to always try to be as positive in the long run as possible. If Diego Pavia can beat Bama, I don't think that it's unheard of that South Carolina would have a chance to beat Bama. But it's still a very disheartening way to go out yesterday against Ole Miss. I hated it. I hated it. It was one of the worst first halves of football I watched, especially with everything that was coming into it. And they Juice Wells had 3 catches for 97 yards. Most of it was on that one catch. The amount of targets that kid had versus his receptions was insane. And I thought the defense did a good job shutting it down. They were gassed up, and it just sucked. But anyway, let's close out with some, I don't know if it's positivity, but it's at least going to be deflection away from South Carolina and the negatives of what happened there. Before we do, I do want to talk to you about our friends at, are you ready, folks? The Game Time app. Listen, Game Time, you guys have heard me talk about them before. Maybe you guys used some of them. Maybe some of you guys used them yesterday to get your tickets for the game. It's a phenomenal app. They take care of all your ticketing needs. They do a great job. Listen, I'm not going to be posting any jobs on. Well, I'm not going to get into that. But what I would say is, of all the ad reads that we have, this is one of the ones I love the most because they do a really, really good job of servicing all your ticketing needs. A few of my favorite things, they have your all-in pricing. Toggling this feature shows the total up front with no surprise fees at checkouts. Guys, think about that. You get a full service. You have no surprises. You have no extra fees. You have no gasps when you have your final, what do you call it, total presented to you. It's not like DoorDash or Uber Eats or anything like that. It is awesome. It's an all-in pricing, which is really, really cool. They have seat views. They give you a panoramic view from your seat before you buy the tickets. I joked around about it before. Like, don't go to Fenway Park or Wrigley Field and get stuck behind a pole. Don't go to Williams-Brice and be stuck in the sun for a noon or 3:30 kick. Figure out where your seats are and the view from your seats right away. They have the lowest price guarantee, or Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. It's just awesome. They do a great job. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Listen, terms apply. Create an account, though, and redeem the code with Locked On College. So the code is Locked On College, LOCKEDCOLLEGE. Second grade or 8th grade, second runner-up, spelling bee champ. Look at me go. For $20 off, download the Game Time app today. What time is it? It's game time, y'all. All right, let's get into the final part of the show. And that part is this. I'm just going to voice some frustrations here real quick about Ole Miss. Is anyone else tired of seeing these fake injuries constantly? I might just do it today because there's no NFL games on that I have to watch. The amount of fake injuries that Ole Miss players run, and Walter Nolan and J.J. Pegues specifically, I've never seen two 6'5", 310-pound grown-ass men get injured, in quotes, more than these two. It's unbelievable. It is unbelievable. At some point, they have to put a stop to this crap. It's a joke. It's not what changed. It didn't affect the outcome of the game or anything like that. But Beamer talked about it in his postgame. It's like, it's wild. He did a good job of answering. He said, listen, I hope they're okay. I hope they're okay. But it's surprising and alarming how many times those guys go down in a game, especially after a big play on offense. It's a joke, man. It's a joke. Come on. What are you doing? So I'm just tired of watching it. I wish that they did a better job with policing it. I don't know how you do, because at some point somebody is going to be actually injured and you can't use the discretion. And let's be also honest here, guys. It's not like the SEC officials do a great job at using discretion anyway. Not discretion. That's not the right word. Or maybe it is. I don't know. It's not a great start to Sunday. But it's not like they do a great job of making in-game instant assessments of situations in general. Am I right? They don't SEC officials are not great. So I don't know if we need them weighing in on fake injuries, because they will mess that up almost right away. But what are we doing? How many times did Walter Nolan limp off the field? And then next thing, the dude ended up with 5 tackles, 3 tackles for loss, and 2 sacks. I guarantee you he had more injuries, in quotes, than sacks yesterday and tackles for loss. How many times do we have to see this 300-pound man limp off the field, especially after the offense's first down, and then come back on the field like he had some miracle doctor? Bobby Boucher's daddy gave him that magic blue water, and he just comes sprinting back onto the field. It's a joke. It's a joke. All right, I'll end the show on that. I love you guys. I hope you have a fantastic Sunday. I'm sorry that we are 3-2, and I'm sorry that it was a worse loss than expected, and I was way off on it. But we'll be back at it this week. We'll be talking about the Bama game coming up. Listen, it's a long season. It's a long season. There's still a lot ahead for this team, and there's a lot in front of them. And here's the thing. Let's end this on a positive note. Here's the big games you still have. You get A&M at home. They looked good yesterday. You get Missouri at home. Missouri got beat by 31. Missouri's beatable. Missouri does not play well on the road. Missouri's beatable. Let's also remember that A&M is I don't know how many home games or away games they played this year. I think they played 1. They're 3-9 over the last 2 years in away from home. They're 3 because they only played 1 game on the road so far, and it was against Florida. So 3-9. We're not counting neutral site. We're just talking about road games. 3-9 away from home over the last 2+ seasons. They're beatable. Vandy looks good, I guess. I don't know. They beat the crap out of Bama yesterday. And if you watched that game, the box score did not tell the story. That was they mauled Bama. So you get them, you get Wofford, you get Clemson. There's still a lot ahead for this team. Don't give up. It's a long season. There's still plenty of time. Listen, the goal's to get 6 wins. The goal's hit to 6 wins. And this team can do that. This team can still do that. There's still a lot to play for. This was always supposed to be a loss. I know I called it wrong, and I got us maybe a little bit too hyped up and saying that we were going to win 31-30, whatever. There's still a lot to play for. I don't know if they win this week. We'll get into the breaking down the game, but there's still a lot to play for. It's Cocktober. Strap in. Anything can happen. Anything can happen, guys. We saw it yesterday. 7 teams that were ranked went down, including 5 of the top 11. It should have been 6 of the top 11. However, Miami came back from down 38-10. So a lot of time left in college football. Don't worry. We're halfway through the season, and we will see y'all tomorrow. Y'all have a great rest of your Sunday afternoon. Y'all be safe. Still praying and thoughts and prayers out to everybody still dealing with Hurricane Helene. I hope we're getting better and better. My mom, she's a pastor in Lexington, is going to deliver some supplies up this weekend. We'll have to donate some of that as well. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your weekend, and we'll be back at it tomorrow. Bye, all.